Good afternoon. Welcome to Hartwood Tunney, the Stable Studios. We're back again. No matter what time of day it is, I have to have a cup of tea. Just going to introduce you straight away to the earworms. There he is. Terry's exhausted because he's been working hard this morning. Oh, there he is.
I thought it was because you were taking too long to start, as usual.
See, lunchtime I have to have coffee instead of beer, so
It's only 2 minutes
Got a
past.
little drop of orange juice left, but I know my wife's watching, so she might bring me another one in.
She'll bring you another one, yeah. Just because you've been busy all morning, Terry, haven't you?
All morning.
Terry's been
Hello,
up
everybody.
Terry's been up at Lockman, lad.
And I moved about 3 tons of wood chip, and I still got another 5 to go. Never mind. We'll get there.
Never mind. So, anyway.
Good afternoon, anyway.
And Pete's in his workshop.
I am. I'm actually working.
Pete is nearly every day. What are you working on, Pete?
Another order.
Oh, no.
Another order.
Excellent. Good man, Pete.
No, he's not really. What he's working on is funds.
Funds. Funds for Harrogate.
Harrogate.
Harrogate money.
You always notice at this time of the year, he takes more orders on so that he can get more funds for Harrogate.
Well, sensible, isn't it?
Sensible, mate.
I think you might not be the only one who's doing that kind of.
No, everybody else
and
is
preparation.
That's right.
Really
brilliant.
Right, let me have a look. See what I'll put you guys back in the background for a second.
Okay.
Thanks for coming along, boys. There we go. They're in the background. Is it lights okay in here? So let's have a look. We're going to do some. It's hashtag week. Hashtag Oriental inspired piece. Is what Steve wrote yesterday. So if I go to that overhead camera, and I'll show you this. This is the kind of. This is something like I'm going to try and make it. That was quick enough. No, I'm joking.
That's good.
So we've got little Chinese inspired pots. These are like Japanese ware, if you like. So this is a little ginger jar, which I'm not doing today. I'll leave that. That'll be Thursday's project. I'm going to try and do something like this first, and then if we get time, we'll move on to that. But we're not going to be. It's not going to be long today. But basically, I want to show you the technique of doing something like that. So that's the plan. Show you my technique of doing that, not anybody else's. So I've got my Robert Sorby chuck on the lathe. Let me just go to that camera first. And I'm going to use a woodworm screw to hold these 2 little pieces. Only 2 little pieces here, tiny little pieces. I don't know what they are. I didn't measure them for you. I'll measure them now. That's just over 3 inches by 2 inches. So these are just bits of scrap that we're lying about. And I'm going to use a woodworm screw. So correct insertion of woodworm screw in any chuck, basically. They're all basically the same. Put it until it catches on the groove. Close your jaws up so as it catches. And then rotate it so as it sits nice and tight there. And then pull it forward. And then lock it up. Now, if you have trouble with your faceplate or your woodworm screw coming undone, make sure you tighten your jaws up enough. That could be an issue. Now, because there's only a tiny little bit of wood, I'm going to use a couple of spacers. So I've just made a couple of little plywood spacers. I think they're 3 mil or something each. Stick them over it, and then we can screw a piece of wood on. Now, I'm going to turn the lathe on nice and slow, just because it's a bit of a nuisance to get these on. Put that in there, and I'll go to the overhead. So there's a pre-drilled hole. Just get it sitting on the end and give it a quick squeeze, and that goes on for you. Don't try and hold on to it and get it screwed all the way up, or you might injure your hand. And then just screw it up tight.
Christoph is asking, do you want to do them black and white like the photo?
Well, I only printed that in black and white because it saves ink.
It's cheaper.
Because
you're tight.
Because I'm Scottish. Exactly. So this is round already. So if you were doing this with a square piece, obviously you'd have to round it up first and get it to wherever you want. But I'm just going to round this off and make sure it's kind of. I'm not even going to bother with the tailstock support. I think we should be okay. Just on the woodworm screw, we said tiny bit of wood. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch spindle gauge just to tidy this edge up. So
I'll tell you in July.
Yeah, good idea. I'm just going to put my safety goggles on first before I start turning.
Good diddly.
You know, wherever
Hello,
you're
everybody.
guys.
Grandma Ruth tube was first in today, apart from Pete, but he's part of the furniture, really, isn't he? So Grandma Ruth's in. Marcel Durrett is in. Chris Dodds is in. Terry Bartlett is in. Oh, Terry. Chris Dodds is in, and Dr. Bob's in. And then the chat just jumped away. There we are. Andy Door60's in. Rob Copperow Woodturning is in. Alex of Wooden Things is in. Having said hello to each other, Robert Hodgepodge Woodworks is in. And Malcolm Douglas, Michael Azaparde is in. Chris Dodd says, are you going to do it in black? Oh, I've read that already. So that's that one out.
You did, Terry?
Yeah, I didn't read that. Pete did earlier. And that's it for now, obviously, because Brian doesn't normally come on a Tuesday.
Don't normally,
so most of them probably at the beach or doing other things, and they'll see it in a minute.
You'll notice there that because I did a push cut right across and took it right off the edge, you've got all these little fuzzies on the edge.
You're very quiet, Brian.
Very quiet. That's not like me.
Yeah, that's not like you.
No. I'm still very quiet.
A little bit louder, but it's okay for us.
Is it? Right.
That's better.
Well, maybe I just want to speak up a wee bit because I'm.
Move the microphone around a bit.
I did that, Terry. I moved it. Okay. So the little fuzzies are caused by pushing the tool out over the edge, and it just lifts the little bits, the last tiny little bits of fibre up. So if you want to try and avoid that, just do a little shear scrape coming back the way.
Your interpretation of the splinters off the end is fuzzies.
Fuzzies, yeah, little fuzzies.
Fuzzies.
And that kind of gets rid of them for you. And we'll worry about that end in a minute. So we'll just put a little bit of shape in this. You've got to remember that we're going to put feet on this. So we need to leave something at the bottom to make the feet with. So
Todd suggested hashtag GoFundMe 114 for Brian. No, Todd, Brian is not allowed to own a 114. We've decided.
Yeah, he's not allowed a 114.
You might notice I'm kind of making these feet. I'm making the space for the feet, and I'm actually making it a little bit of an angle. So we're putting like a dovetail on there. We can see that. Because in most Japanese-inspired type bowls and stuff, the feet are kind of splayed a little bit, but I need a little bit further in than that. Now, the thing you have to watch when you're doing this kind of thing is what chucking stuff you're going to hold on, because you're going to have to put a chucking point on here at some stage, and I'll just let you see that there. So we'll just set our little chucking point on here. Now I'm going to use an SC2 chuck, which is this little tiny guy here, and it needs like a 30mm tenon or a 35mm tenon. I actually written it on there 35mm.
So you've got a tenon on there. You could put a mortise in the middle of that tenon, and then put a tenon in the middle of the mortise. That'd be grand.
Well, I'm kind of going to do that. You just watch.
You go follow that with a little woodworm screw in the middle.
So I'm just going to get left point only. This right point is miles away. Well, not miles away, but it's a good quarter inch away.
Far enough that it doesn't catch.
Far enough that it doesn't bite in, and that's the size of my tenon. Now,
Bob the professor's joined us, by the way.
The next thing I need to do is make enough room for the jaws, the width of the jaw itself, this bit. So we use a beading and parting tool, or a parting tool, small parting tool here, and we'll just make a little bit of a groove in there.
So the word dancers also joined us.
So I've left a little step there for the jaws to register on. That's not very well cut. Let me try and cut that again. There we go. A little step just in there for the jaws to register on, but I'm going to take the outside edge down as far as the bottom of the foot. Right there somewhere. And we'll just double check that works before we start shaping the outside. Key. Oh no, it doesn't fit.
I don't think you got enough groove there, width of the groove. Take your jaws.
You might have to go in just a little bit further there. You're quite right. You thinking about this groove here, the width of this?
Yeah.
No, it should be okay. But I need to make the first little step just a fraction deeper, just to make sure that the jaws actually get something nice to hold onto. So make it a fraction deeper. And that gives me about 3.5, 4 mil there. That should be plenty. It's only a tiny wee piece of wood. Shouldn't need a whole lot of gripping. But we'll just check that. Screw it up, make sure. Yep, that's fine. I don't know if you can actually see right in there. No, you can't. Even with the overhead. You can see that the jaws are now recessed in below where the feet are going to go. The idea of the step is if you wanted longer legs, you can still do the same thing, but you need to make sure you leave a shoulder in there for the face of the jaws to sit on, and not bottom your tenon out in the bottom of the jaws.
Robert's asked, question, I missed it and I'm not paying too much attention.
That's fine.
Is this end grain orientation?
It's end grain, yeah. It is.
Paul Finley's in on a Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
So we'll go back to shaping the outside now. And we'll just shape the outside first. Don't worry too much. 3/8 spindle gauge. And we're going to round the bottom off a little bit first. So just basically a bead is all you're making. So you're making the bead, just lift the handle, pick up the cut, and then roll the handle over at the same time. Keep your bevel engaged and roll it into the bottom. I'm just going to make a little step there. So there's the step. Oh, you can see that. There's a little step, and so the foot will come off that little step. We could even turn that into a bead. There. So when we're carving our foot, we've got something there that we can carve into. And we'll just make a little shape now. Nothing too elaborate. Could do with a bit more speed than that, I think. Seeing it's only a tiny little bit of wood, we can use lots of speed. And that step was too big now, so we can take that away a little bit. That's fine. Just going to take that away and let the feet come straight out the bottom, because I want to show you the technique when you get to the bottom of that. And we'll just bring this up, and then we'll take some off the top. So this is just be like a little oriental ring box or something like that. And what makes it oriental basically is the feet. If you look at lots of oriental stuff on Facebook and YouTube, or YouTube anyway, or Google, you'll see that most of it is they have a little stand or feet.
Usually 3 feet.
Usually 3 feet, yeah. Some occasions 4, but usually 3. 3's better because it's easier to get the thing to be stable. If you make 4 feet, you kind of have to make sure they're exact. Oops. Tiny little bit of escape back there. That should be okay. And we'll just fix that. That should be good. And that's kind of the shape of that now. Stop. That's fine. We'll just sand that up now. Make that good. I'm not going to spend a lot of time sanding. Quick about 120 grit.
Robert says, I can confirm my wife's Asian and she does have small feet, but only
But
two.
My wife's not Asian. She only has small feet too.
Big mouth, but
Oh, Terry. Oh, Terry, I can't believe you said that.
she's not listening, is she?
Yeah, I don't think she's in, no. She's got a friend over today, so.
So I
Got
said
away
it.
with that then, Terry?
That's why I said it.
Big brave Terry, yeah.
Big brave Terry. Say it when she's not here. Mickey, Mickey, Mickey. But no doubt somebody will tell her.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Wouldn't be the same without that.
Oh, me, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, I go back in the house today, I'll say, you'll never guess what Terry said about you, dear.
Yeah, that's it.
And she'll say, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I think that was 120. This is 180, and that's as much as it's getting today. I'm not going to do too much. It's absolutely roasting in my workshop today. It's 21.4 degrees in the workshop currently. So
23 in mine.
I'm kind of cooking here, but I'm not used to it, Pete. You guys are kind of a bit more used to warm weather than we are over here. And some of you guys in the chat are getting even worse weather, I think, as far as I know.
Worse weather or better weather? Depends on which way you look at it.
Well, it depends what way you look at it, yeah. Right, so that's not bad. Yeah, a little bit. We'll give it a little rub this way, just with the grain a wee bit. Not matter, it's getting sprayed black anyway, so.
And Hodgepodge is trying to jump the gun. He said, what do you plan to paint this with?
Oh, who said I'm painting it? Any decoration will might not have today.
Dodge just said it's 23 degrees of sweater weather where he is.
God. I don't know, boys. It's absolutely roasting here. So we'll just try and make it an hour today if we can. We'll get as far as we can with this.
You could try and make it half an hour. It's up to you.
I could if I wanted to, yeah. Not long to go now then.
Nope.
Now you got some carving to do, sir.
I've been talking for 20 minutes.
That's nothing unusual, is it?
Oi, there's no call for that, Terry. No matter how true it is. I'm usually very shy and retiring.
Yeah, like me.
I like Terry, yeah.
Very shy, very
retiring. So look at that. They need that.
No, I don't need
that.
He's staying quiet on that one.
So that's basically the outside shape, just like that. No big deal. Now, let's have it off of this. And what we'll do is we'll put this chuck on first.
Paul Finley's shouting.
What's he shouting?
It was very hot in my workshop yesterday, in capital letters.
It was. It was very, very hot in Paul's workshop yesterday. I'm just going to bring this tailstock up a little bit.
The trouble with this little lump of land on the or off the west coast of England is it's mostly made of peat. So when they have 3 days of sunshine in a row, it shrinks.
It starts to dry up, yeah. So I'm just going to use that there, just and loosen this chuck a little bit. Just push that in just to make sure it's nicely secured in the middle. In the middle. And then tighten the jaws up. Hopefully that should be in the same orientation then. With a little bit of look. There we go. Tailstock away again. To remove the elbow stubber before we get.
The professor said it's boiling here, and just to warn you, Terry, I'll be attending the club later. in my leather wood turning mankini.
Oh no. That sounds like something to avoid then. Well, wait a minute, why am I taking that off?
We'll be back in a minute. Hold on.
All right, Terry. So now I have to unscrew this from the woodworm screw. He says, hopefully.
Yeah, wood turning screws are usually better with a bigger diameter. It's easier to get them off.
Yeah. So, but I like using the woodworm screw now. I never used to like them, but I quite like it now. So we'll just remove that chuck because I won't be using it again, or I may be using it again a bit later with the woodworm screw. Put it up there, and now we can mount this chuck. And now we have the job of hollowing this out. Let's bring this up here.
Dr. Bob said the weather forecast for today is a high of 93
Oh boy,
with a cold front of 52 for tonight.
Boy, oh boy, that's shocking. So I'm going to hollow this with a spindle gauge. So I'll use my 3/8 spindle gauge just to begin with. And then, because it's quite easy once you get in there, but you want to have it set so it's on center. So just a little bit higher than that. And I'm just going to use the left wing just here to kind of back hollow that if you like. So I'm going to just like a pulling action with your finger. You're just pushing the handle away and pivoting on the tool rest there. That's how it's supposed to work. So we'll look, see, will it? And where's Terry when you need him? The important bit here now is you've got to remember how much foot you want. But you still have to be able to use this as a chucking point. And not foot, the foot's on that end, don't worry. You need to think about this as a chucking point as well for when you do the foot. So.
And the Yorkshire Getter's in. Good afternoon, Glenn.
Hi, Glenn. Welcome along, buddy. So we'll just take that edge off, just like that. And then hollow this out. Now, I'm going to hollow this out until it starts to squeal because I want you to see why it squeals.
Actually, for members of the AWGB, if you've just got your latest magazine, on page 8, there's a youngster has done a job which has caused a little bit of controversy because he turned the bowl and he used a spindle roughing gauge on the outside.
I used a spindle gauge.
But he also talks about spindle roughing gauge to true it up. But he also talks about drilling a hole and using a bowl gauge. It doesn't say back hollowed, but it does look as though that's what he's done.
A bowl gauge to back hollow.
Yeah, in bowl orientation, so against the grain basically.
Yeah. So I've just changed up there now to a 1/2 inch bowl gauge or spindle gauge. And the reason for that is it's just a bit thicker tool, and you can overhang the tool rest a little bit further. But don't beat yourself up. If you haven't got one of these, a little Simon Hope mini hollowing tool, I think it'd be a good investment into your armory. Because you can see how wonderfully quick that takes away the unwanted timber. I never know what to call that.
Well, future shavings.
Yeah, future shavings, yeah.
I must admit, I've started using my hollowing system for more shallow, small pot type things than I used to. Because it does work.
This is real handy for getting in around the corner because it actually gets round the corner.
Yeah.
So how about we look at that and see where we are for depth and stuff. It doesn't need to be huge.
And
yeah,
Robert Hodgepodge says, I call it wood, Brian.
I would. Remove the excess wood. It's
Or Harry
excess wood.
food.
I'm going to use a scraper on the bottom now. So the scraper needs to be just on centre as well. So it needs to come up just a fraction. I'll just finish off the bottom of that with a scraper.
I'm going to say, get onto your sponsors for a #1 pro hollower, Brian.
Yeah, I think it's just what I need for a #1 pro hollow for this job. So this scraper has got a radiused edge on it, so it can kind of sit in there and follow itself all the way down to the bottom. That should be enough in there, I think. Just check the depth now. Fancy depth tool. Where is my fancy depth tool? Here it is. Little small depth tool. So we're in almost to the bottom. So that's about the same thickness of wall as there is at the bottom. Yep, that'll do. So you couldn't see that very well, could you? Do it from overhead, so you can see there the wall thickness down at the bottom where the foot's going to end up, right down in here, right down in there, is roughly the same as the wall thickness there. Hopefully you can see that. So that means the bowl's kind of all the same shape. So we'll just quickly sand that. Once I put this tool away again. Get a bad habit all my life for leaving tools on that bench that's in front of my lathe here. Turn the speed down. Not that far. Put on the extractor.
Dr. Bob said, I've noticed there's a big problem. We as loyal followers, our talented host and his sidekick deserve a big thumbs up.
Thanks,
For your
Bob.
support, one and all. You got 17 thumbs up at the moment and 34 watching. So there's some space for people to bung that thumbs up.
There certainly is.
Got to say, Terry's got an internet problem, so he's had to drop out.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's okay. I'm sure we'll manage, Pete.
I expect so.
A little bit more sanding in there. I need a little bit coarser sandpaper in there. Don't be afraid to go a little bit coarser if you need to. So that was 120 I was using. So I'm going to drop down to 80 grit just to give this inside edge just a tiny little tidy up. There's a tool mark in there.
Michelle Higgins has joined us from sunny California.
Hi, Michelle.
And Robert said, no wonder it was quiet and pleasant with Terry gone.
There's no need for that. Not about 120 grit now.
Bill Krulek says, what are you making? Sorry I got here late.
I'm making a little Chinese or Oriental inspired dish with feet. But really all I wanted to show you was the technique of kind of making the feet basically. That's fine. I think that should be 180. And that's as much sanding as it's getting. Right.
Health and safety announcement. This is a shallow dish, so Brian's quite correct. We use his fingers to go in there. If it was deeper, then use a stick or something to hold the abrasives.
100%. That dish is less than, I don't know how deep it is. I'll show you now on my depth gauge. It's only 34 mil deep, so it isn't deep enough, and it's wide enough that I'm not going to catch my fingers in there. Oh, I feel a little rough bit just in the edge there. Just a little bit of hand sanding. So these kind of projects, you kind of just play it by ear and see how well you can get on with the sanding.
We do these little health and safety things for the newer turner,
We
but
do.
in reality, the first time they catch their fingers on sanding in the hollow, then they won't do it again.
You're absolutely right. And your finger will come out of there pretty quick if you make a mistake. So just like that. That's keep it nice and simple, guys. That'll be fine. Extractor back on. And that's basically the little dish. Sanded up, ready to go. And what I'm going to try and do now is reverse mount this in this chuck and see will that work. It may not. That's the wrong chuck key. Let's try this one. Let me see what that. It may not. This may not work. Interesting. We have to change chucks. This has got home too far.
Yeah, but you really need a light contact for that, don't you?
Well, I'll actually go do a bit of turning on the outside, so we'll see will that work. Give that a wee spin up just slowly and see what that looks like. Not too bad. I think we'll get away with it. So it's just held there. It doesn't really have to be held all that firmly because all I'm going to do now is take this end away.
And Dr. Bob said, is it a dish or a pot? And Chris
It's,
Dalters helpfully replied, yes.
yes, it's either or. So we're just going to spin that up and I'll just try and take a couple of little gentle cuts just to see where that needs to go down a tiny little bit. Let's bring that down. And we'll see can we take a cut off this without it popping off the lathe. So gentle cuts is the order of the day.
Yeah, that's the way I would do it. All the pressure towards the headstock.
Yep.
And Benjamin has joined us. Good afternoon.
So you notice that I'm trying to take the middle down to where I think the bowl should be coming around the corner. And I'm trying to meet the bowl at the bottom, if you like. So we'll just keep taking that down a little bit further. And that'll save us a whole lot of sanding later. I think that's roughly about where it should be. So I'm just using the wing of the very tip of this gouge, or just off the right edge of it. Sorry, not the wing, not the tip. Sorry, as a scraper there. So I'm trying to get the same shape coming around the bowl there. It's looking about right there, I think. Maybe I have to go down a
Orphan
little
is
bit
asking,
further.
are you going tonight, Brian?
Yes, Paul. That's my local club meeting tonight. There's a local club meeting tonight. We have a demo by one of the club members on tonight. I haven't quite got that deep enough there. you guys can see that cut there.
I can see what you're doing, but can we have an overhead view of that? Just see if we can see it on there.
So what I'm trying to do is
No,
get
can't.
the. No, you can't see it.
No.
Can I get any closer? No, if this
Basically, what you're
camera
trying to do is to replicate the shape of the
Yeah.
bowl through to the bottom.
try.
Aren't you?
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm doing. Just give me a second. I'll try and zoom this in a bit more. Can you bring a video? Set that over there. And we'll try and zoom this in a bit more so you can get it further in there. And a little bit of pan.
BA16 has joined us. Good afternoon.
Oh, wrong way. And up a tiny bit. There we go. Is that close enough now? Can you see a bit better now?
Yeah. Focus could be improved.
I'll put autofocus on for a second. Let it find its focus there. It doesn't like it when it's spinning.
No.
So let it focus there. It's still out of focus, Pete.
Doesn't like that focal length.
Does not.
Normally, you put your finger in there, it focuses straight in.
Does, yeah. Nope, still doesn't like it. Let's bring it back out a bit further for you. That seems to be getting better there. Nope. Still too close. Right now I'm zoomed into about 400 there, so try that.
Dr. Bob thinks it's a weed pot. A pot to put your pot in.
I nearly got it there, didn't it? Is that kind of focus? Can you see that too?
You got some dust on the camera or something. It's nicely focused, but right across the middle there's a blurry line.
Let me get my tissue and give that camera a wipe. I used a good soft tissue for that. Oops, move the camera now. Yeah. What's that nice shiny tool that's causing that?
Could
Anyway,
be.
let's so the idea is to get the curve of this bowl, the curve that comes over here, to match it on the other side of the foot. So really, if you want to be really pernickety, you could use your verniers and measure that and then try and replicate that on the inside. So according to that, if I show you it from there, that's the depth of where the depth of the bowl goes in, and you'll see there I've got a little bit to go yet.
I know, because you've got the 1/8 of an inch of foot to change the measurement.
So we'll try just taking another little bit out of that. And just try and get it as near as perfect as we can get it. I think we'll give it a go with that, I think. So these are just tiny little cuts, and I'm using the bevel to push against the headstock. I think that's pretty close. And on that cut, I'm just using the bottom wing, the left wing, as a shear scrape. I don't want the foot to be too thick because I have to carve this out now.
Malcolm Douglas has got a good point there. If you cut a part of the waist of the collar away, you'll be able to see the shape.
You could. But I just want to let you see it like this. There we go. That's as near as it needs to be. I can turn that up now. Just give that.
John Foster says, "Hi guys, late but happy to be here."
Hi John. Just give that a quick rub with a bit of sandpaper there. Speed up. Be alright. Do the inside of the foot. And then do the bottom of the bowl.
I just got a WhatsApp from my customer, increasing the order that I'm doing today.
Increasing the order. Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah.
More beer money.
More Harrogate money.
Yeah, that's what I mean. More beer money. Is that the same thing?
Yep.
There we go. Not worry about that too much.
Amy De Angelis has joined us. Good afternoon.
Hi, Amy. All the way from Australia. So, now we've got our foot. We need to mark on where we're going to put the feet. So, we should have a look at the bowl and see is there any nice sort of figure on the bowl. So, there's a nice bit of figure coming around there. And there's not, it's not quite so. It's a bit wavy and stuff there. So, that, I think I'd like to make that the back. So, if I go there and make a foot mark, so the center of the foot's going to be there. And then I'm just going to make them at sort of 120 degrees each, if you like. Something like that. Let's go to there. Oh, sorry, there. No, there. And there's where I'm going to put the feet. Now, what I want to do is put a shape on the feet. So it's going to come from how wide do I want the feet? Not very wide, but not much. Put there somewhere. Just let you see that. And then bring that foot out. Something like that. That might never end up like that, but this is just to give me an idea where to cut. Do a similar thing there. Now you could have a little template made if you wanted to. And
I would need a template because by the time I got to the third one, I'd have forgotten what the shape was.
Put there somewhere. I'm just doing just a simple little arc. And we'll see. There again. That was too far. And we're just having a simple arc. But a template would be ideal. You could draw it on yourself. And there we go, something like that. Hopefully that kind of gives us something like similar. That was maybe a bit wide. Take this one a wee bit. And about there somewhere. And what we'll do is we'll just round that foot off at the bottom. But we'll do that with the tool. So we're going to use, put the extractor on, and I'm going to use one of these little things. One of these little bars, a cuts all bar. And this is an 8 shaft, and it's a fine cutter, so that's the one I'm going to be using there. And it's in my little micromotor thing. A micromotor N8, this is called. So that's what I'll be using to carve this.
Steve Ash said you could use a coin for the curve.
Oh, you could, yeah. You could use whatever you fancy.
Yeah,
I mean,
Brian's coins don't like to see the light of day.
You could use the edge of one of your sanders there and just run around it. You could use anything you like, but I'm just doing it by eye because I just do. Now, next thing I want to do then is switch this on. Now, this is a little beast of a thing and it cuts like mad. So I'm going to use my hand on top of the chuck and I'm going to support this bottom thumb. So it's going to be a pulling action with the tool. And I'll go to that camera, or maybe there. See both things there? And just slowly but surely. It's not all that slowly, to be honest. And just cut away the timber. Better if I put the extractor on, eh? That might help. So there's our groove there. I hope you can see that on the overhead. So we're going to try and work our way back to that. Now, leave a little step at the bottom there. Don't be going too far down there. And the same will come in this way. There's just a little half mil of a step there. And I'll show you why in a minute. I got this thumb pushed up against here, so I don't need this thumb to balance it currently. So that's that one up to the line. And we'll start on this one. Again, I just start rough sort of way in the middle. Don't have to be too careful there. If I wasn't doing a live, I'd be taking a whole lot more time over this. And again, just get it to come down to just a tiny little step there, just half a mil or something. And we'll work back up towards this one. Oops. I'll just switch that off for a second. And I'll show you what's happened there. The little cutter is actually starting to move out of there. So we'll lock that and it'll be hot. So don't touch it with your fingers. And I'll just push it back in with that pair of pliers there. And then lock it back up again.
Not now, Brian, but after that camera lens definitely needs a bit of cleaning.
Yeah, okay. You could use a bigger burr for this if you wanted. Again, I'm just trying to bring that up, follow the line that I made. Doesn't have to be perfect. And now, that's two done. So let's get the third one done now. That's moving again. Whatever's going wrong today. Maybe trying to giving it too much to do. Just take your time, Brian. Don't rush. You just have to imagine this is what a dentist does to your teeth.
Yeah, I'd rather not imagine that.
When he's trying to get down to that cavity that you might have, you know. I wonder how often they practice and what do they practice on. It's good. So if you pull it towards you, you can get much more control of the way that the cutter actually works. The thing you have to remember is that that's spinning at a huge rate of knots, and if it touches your finger, it's going to be sore. So they're a double-edged sword in bringing it towards yourself because you're actually working towards this bit of material that's going to stop it slipping. And if you try and go the other way, it's just liable to jump and bite into the timber. Now, that little step that I left in there, I'm just going to lean the tool on the piece of wood and just ever so gently blend the two faces together. And just take away that little step.
Dr. Bob said he's very impressed with the efficiency of your dust management system. That's the Charnwood double motor one, isn't it? Not Charnwood,
Yeah, this.
no, it's
Yeah.
the one sold by Record Power, but not under the Record Power name.
These are Record Power
Cambacks, that's it.
Cambacks. And it's the twin motor variety I have. And it's in next door. It's in the room next door, which is my woodshed.
And Steve Ash is asking what you're using to drive that. It's a micromotor, isn't it?
It's a micromotor. It's from Woodart. They're the suppliers. And it's called a micromotor N8. Don't ask me a technical spec, because I really don't know off the top of my head. Now, because this is a fine burr, it will leave, it's a fine, it's not coarse, it still will leave little tiny marks all the way along there. But just because the way the cutter's designed, it has loads of little teeth on it. So that's why I left that little bridge, so as I can sand it down really gently to get it to where I want it to be. And I'm just trying to round them feet over just a tiny little bit. That should do. One last bit to finish here. The more practice you have with this, the quicker you get at it. But in the beginning, don't rush, guys. Just take your time and try and get it kind of right. Now, these are very simple feet that I've chosen to do here. You could make them as elaborate or as fancy as you wanted. It was basically just, the reason for that is just to show you the technique. And hopefully that kind of looks like they grew out of there. And all that's left now is just to, I need to do a bit more there. I've just noticed a big step just here. So I'll do a little bit more. No step there, no step there, and no step there. That's fine. So now we'll just use a little bit of sandpaper, and we're just going to blend the bottom and the top together now. Being careful not to break your foot off. I hope you can kind of see we've got a little tiny lump there. I might just take that away in a minute. But other than that, the bowl shape is coming around quite nicely. And as was mentioned earlier, if you wanted to take the waste, most of the waste away, you could have seen that better. But that's just the way I do it. And you can spend however long you want refining these corners, refining the little feet, and you could even go as far if you want If you wanted to, you could use a little diamond file. Use a little diamond file and just file the edges. Just to make sure it's right.
Dr. Bob said the problem that he had when doing that method of carving is not to burn, scorch the wood by pressing too hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
sometimes too much speed does
high
that as well.
quality cutters and as you say, not too much pressure is the answer to that problem.
Yep. Just take away little bits at a time. Don't rush the job. It's not the kind of job for rushing.
Ian Leach has joined us. Good afternoon.
Who's that, Ian?
Yep.
So I've got lots of these little diamond files. This one's a kind of half round, which is good for doing those bits. Just to finish the edges off.
And Robert Hodgepodge said, I expect to see some ball and claw feet next, with the claws mimicking that rat of yours.
Okay. Ball and claw feet. We could do that, I suppose. So make sure when you're filing these that you keep them supported. So if you don't snap it off, then you could easily do that. And last thing I want to do and try and do there is just remove that. There's a little tiny.
I always think of ball and claw as being medieval European, but of course it's kind of a design that Chippendale was using on his furniture as well, which is much later.
I'm just going to try and take away this little bit in the middle here.
Dr. Bob's got a question. He said, how do you clean your files?
Those diamond files I just clean with a. I'll show you. That should be that. That should be enough of that. So I just use a little scraper there, and I'll show you, Dr. Bob, just in a second. I'll just sand that off. And that's that. So for cleaning these little diamond files, and I'll tell you why, if you've watched my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, or my Instagram, you'll have seen the little vase that I used, that I made with the leather insert in it. And this is how I clean them. I just use this little brass brush. So that's a suede brush for cleaning suede shoes. And all I do is that. Just drag it through it. That's all I do. And that usually cleans them up nicely. If you do it too hard, you'll get rid of most of your diamonds, of course. But they'll last for ages.
Lucy Rose joined us. Good afternoon.
Hi, Lucy. So the little, I'll just zoom back out of that, I think. Go there. So there's a little diamond file. It's a cheap little set that I bought. Chinese ones, but they're actually very good, and there are all sorts of different shapes in them. This is the one for cutting V grooves. So this little guy here has a nice V groove in it on the back. So if you're doing those little leather inserts that that Emma does, you can easily make little grooves. You could easily just start there and start to file it and make a groove all the way around. Particularly if you're doing it like I did on the side of a vase or something that you can't actually cut a groove. You could easily cut a groove in there now, of course, with a point tool or something. But if you want to make it come and curved, you need something else. So that's that's basically a little bow. And that's taking me an hour, goodness sake. I'm just going to take that off of that chuck. Remember that I have to screw it opposite way to what I normally do. That way. A little burst. I've got a little black mark in there off the chuck, so we'll just sand that. And the chuck didn't do any damage on the inside at all. Let's go there. No damage on the inside. Bit of shaving in there. And there's the little feet. So it kind of looks pretty good. Let's go in there. God, I'm going to zoom that back out again, Pete.
Yeah.
Let me just zoom that way back out again.
Lucy Brown's up to mischief as usual.
Is that better now? You see that better now?
Yeah, that's great.
So that's the
Down
little
a bit.
down a bit there, about there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's the tiny little feet, and it should sit nicely on the board. If I put the board up.
Hey, Stephen, what are you doing? Good afternoon.
Oh, Stephen, I'm taking a leaf out of Stephen's book today. I'm making miniature stuff. Let me just change that camera a little bit there, down there somewhere. Go there. No, wrong camera. That one. That one. Why is that not zoomed in enough? We can zoom that too. Close your eye. I'll change cameras for a minute, just while I'm zooming that, so as you don't get it. I can't do that. I need to see it myself. What am I doing? Not that one. I'm just going to zoom this camera a wee bit, guys, so it'll move a little bit. There you go. So that's the first part of the Chinese vase trilogy. There's going to be 3 of them. This one I just wanted to show you today so that I could show you the feet and how to make the feet. And I'll show you on this, on the overhead picture again. This is what we're making. So that's that little one, overhead there. So that's going to be that little one. There's going to be a lid made for that next. This will be the next one we'll make with kind of more pointed feet. And then we're going to make this ginger jar on Thursday. But that's all I'm going to do for today. One simple little bowl. Just take that out of the way.
Stephen's asking, will it have any colour? If so, what colour?
It will be coloured. It's going to be Oriental style colours. And some, maybe a couple of little motifs or something on the side of it. But I haven't decided on that yet. But I'm going to get all 3 bits made, and then we'll do the colouring on Thursday. So all I wanted to show you today was how to make that and how to organise the feet. Now, you get a big long feet, you get a wee small dumpy feet, whatever it is that you fancy or your design calls for. Some designs have got feet that look something like, they've got a flat. If I said that, let's see, it come across there, and the foot comes down and goes out, down and comes out, and then
Yeah, we can't see those pencil lines, Brian.
You'll see them in a minute. I'll zoom in a bit. I'll make them a bit darker for you. So that would be a section of the foot, and this comes down here, and then it comes round and back up in there, and then over the top, and round and back down in there. And that would be one section of the foot. That would be one section. So these would be the feet, and that would be the inside bit. So it's kind of, you get as complicated or as simple as you want. You see. So, and then the vase or whatever else comes up off there like that. That's how there's lots of them. You just have a look on, just Google it. If you Google Oriental wares or Oriental pottery, you'll see there are thousands of them.
So it's mostly ceramic influence, isn't it?
Ceramic influence, yeah. I did do some research and try to find out actual wooden stuff. There are some Japanese versions, but there's not much Chinese type stuff. It's mostly pottery from China. Anyway, there you go. That's one tiny little vase or Chinese inspired pot. And that's all we're doing today. It's 2:10, and I am absolutely cooking in my workshop. Well, let me just bring Pete back in. I hope that gave you something to think about and something to play with. And if you haven't got a micromotor tool, you could do it with a Dremel. It wouldn't make any difference. And the cut-all bars are not that expensive. And basically, you could actually do these. You could actually do the feet with an ordinary file if you wanted. Anyway, Tuesday lunchtime. I'm not usually on. Thanks to you, Pete, for coming in and keeping me company and let me know who was
No
in.
problem.
Thanks to everybody who was in the chat, who I haven't even seen the chat somewhere. Oh, there we go. Chat's up now. Wood says red and gold. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Chinese inspired. Chinese is kind of red and gold. Japanese are not so much red and gold. Chinese think that red is a really lucky color, so they do everything in red. And black is kind of the background color, if you like. But the Chinese stuff is a bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? A bit more sophisticated, I would think. So, but the hashtag is Oriental inspired. So take your pick, guys. The Orient's a great big place. Anyway, we're done. Thank you very much for coming in and watching, and I'll catch you all on Thursday evening at 7:15. If you're available, I'll see you then. Say goodbye, Pete.
Cheers, everyone. Take care.
Talk to you later, guys. Bye for now. And the button is pressed.